this other person's dog.
You got the dog?
Yes.
Oh my!
Can you imagine?
That, oh my God!
Oh my God!
That poor lady.
It
That
was
poor
like-
dog.
I know.
Oh my. Hi everybody, it's Debbie Cowan here at Prime Lending with my dear sweet friend Marguerite Garvey from Keller Williams. And Marguerite, so you know what we're doing here, just to kind of let you know. One of the things that I wanted to do was to kind of be able to have a chance to spotlight some of my preferred agents, my most favorite people. And let people get to know not just about your, what you do as a real estate agent, but a little bit about you from the let people in the community know a little bit more about you that they may not know already, because I know all your secrets. So
Not all of them.
so we may be going deep today, so we'll see how far you let me go. But yeah, so I met Marguerite about 3 years ago, and gosh, how did I meet you? Was it through
Karen?
It was through
Camperman,
Karen
yeah.
Camperman. Okay, and you were, because she was 5 years, you were 3 years into it, both at the same office over in
Keller Williams
Keller
in the
Williams.
Summerfield
Yep,
office.
in Summerfield. And so I think she may give you my name or something. I'm not sure how we actually connected, but I was so grateful that we did. We've had some great conversations. I mean, a lot of laughs since then.
That's for sure.
Oh my gosh,
That's
and
for
some
sure.
crazy transactions that we've gone through.
Yep.
But so tell me, you've just been in the business 3 years, right?
Right. So I started with Keller Williams, and Karen is an unbelievable mentor.
Oh, absolutely.
And she's the reason I ended up going there. I was talking to the team leader, and he said, "Well, let me have you meet an agent." Her and I went out and had coffee for 3 hours. It was like, oh no, yeah. And
you guys definitely create a sisterhood.
Yeah, we really did, and that's how I met you.
Yeah.
And when I started, it was right before COVID.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden COVID hit, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do now? No open houses, no anything. It's just, it's crazy. But I really learned so much from Karen. I still do every day.
Yeah.
And
she's amazing.
Yeah, she really is.
She's one of the few people I think I've ever met in the business that has done as she does, and is as committed and dedicated and just so focused in this business.
She really is. I mean, she doesn't let one minute go by where she's not productive.
Yeah. And it's insane.
Yeah. So I mean, I did learn a lot from her. Then finally came out of COVID.
Right.
And, I mean,
you did well in COVID, right? I mean,
I did like 2 million that year, but it's like
in 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And but the last few years have been much better, and I'm now getting a lot of referrals from my people that I've helped.
Yep, which is the beauty of the business. If you do it well, that's what we strive to get.
Yep.
So you got into it, started with COVID, had to kind of figure all that out with virtual tours and all that other stuff. But I know that I think I'm trying to remember the first loan we did together, but you are pretty much centered in the Villages, right?
Yes.
Because you even bought in the Villages, right?
I did.
So yeah. And when did you buy there last year?
Well, I rented there my first 2 years down the south.
Okay.
And as Karen calls it, Southern Earth.
Right.
It's so far down south. But and then I bought last year in October in St. Catharines. And
was it just 2022? It
was just, no, it was a
2021.
year. Yeah,
Okay.
a year and close to half.
Okay.
Now.
So you're a true villager now.
I'm a true villager.
And so, but do you try to spend most of your efforts in the Villages selling, or?
Yeah, I mean, the Villages is really it's a complex, complicated place to sell, because you go from like much older houses, and it's always built south, to totally new houses.
Yeah.
They have bonds, they've got CDDs, they've got different neighborhoods. I mean, I love living there. But a lot of people aren't that familiar with it when they come to buy a house.
Right.
And really just having that expertise, which I've gone to Villages classes, everything, so I can learn as much as I can about it.
Right.
To share it with them, they really like that.
When did you actually move here to Florida?
I moved here, 3.5 years ago.
From
Ohio. Columbus,
okay.
Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
New Albany, yep.
Yep. So when I was talking to my regional manager yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, And he was asking, why do people flock to the villages? Because I
Hmm.
told him, I said, I spend a lot of my efforts, in the 55 plus
Hmm.
communities and doing that. And but I said, one of these days, because he's never seen it, he's
Hmm.
only heard of it. And I said, one of these days, you just need to get in the car with me and we'll drive around and I'll show it to you. But it's like, what? And I said, they buy into the lifestyle.
Hmm.
And I said, they either love it when they buy into it
Hmm.
and they see it and this is what they want to do. And I said, or they hate it once they get into it and then they go, somewhere else. But it really is the largest 55 plus community in the USA, isn't it?
Yeah, and also from between 2010 and 2020, when they did the census, it
Yep.
was the fastest growing city in the country
Right.
every single year, and
So,
still
so
is.
it's three counties, right? Sumter, Lake, and Marion,
Marion, yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
they're still growing, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
so I mean, what do you think their plans are? You think their plans are to go either further into Lake or
I think they're going south right now. So
okay,
I live south, and they just renamed a highway where I live, and I just bought the house. So there's not
right,
that many houses south of me
right,
right now. Central Parkway, because that's going to be the center of the villages. That's how far south they're going to go.
really,
I mean, there's 80,000 houses in the villages right now,
right.
and that's what they're talking about, building another 60,000.
So where would that be close to?
It's like Coleman. Um, they're going south, going Wildwood,
Okay, so
Coleman,
the wild. Okay,
right, and they're
okay.
also going towards Leesburg too,
Because I thought that they were
and
trying to
towards
get into
Orlando.
more
Hmm.
into the Lake County
Hmm.
areas versus Sumter.
Hmm.
So you think they might go kind of go? I figured at some point in time it would run right into Orlando.
That's what everybody's thinking. And
Yeah,
you drive up and down the turnpike, or if you're riding around my neighborhoods, you can't see anything but dirt because they've already leveled. Like that's all you see is dirt.
it's amazing.
And I mean, they'll put a whole neighborhood up in like a year and a half.
I was going to say, what is the turn time now for the new construction homes out there?
Yeah. So right now they're building Neville. That's one they're concentrating on. It's a little south of me, and then Richmond, which is
Yeah,
one of the only ones where they started building up back towards the villages.
right.
So a lot of people want to live there because it's right by Brownwood.
Okay.
And uh,
So what? So how long is it taking them to build a house out there? Because they're going up fast.
it's unbelievable. It's just like like I said, a whole neighborhood. The neighborhood that I first came to, I was living there, and like I was one of the first houses.
Uh huh.
The whole rest of the neighborhood was built in a year or a year and a
Wow.
half. It's just,
So they
it's
have no
amazing,
issues. However they get around
right?
it, they have no issues with contractors, subcontractors, the supply chains
Hmm.
that all the other builders seem to
Hmm.
have issues with because they continue to build. I just got a contract the other day for a repeat client that is buying an investment property out there. It's a new build, just
Hmm.
finished out.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Are they taking like 6 months to build a house or 4 months? Because they seem to go faster than anybody else out there right
Yeah, I
now.
would say that's not. It's not even. Well, they're not really doing custom homes anymore. So they're
Okay.
just taking their floor
Yep.
plans and stretching them a little bit.
Okay.
So it probably is going to take even less time. That's probably one of the reasons they did that.
Mm-mm.
And so you can go in if you want to build it from start to finish. It's probably like 6 or 8 months. But
So it's
a
still
lot of
cheap.
them, they're
It's
just doing
still less than a
spec
regular
homes.
spec.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the lifestyle. I
Hmm.
mean, you have everything. I mean, it's not just a golf resort.
Hmm.
It's got pools. It's got restaurant. And that's why I told my regional. I said it's got every major chain restaurant, every chain store. And I said they pay a fortune to be there,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to be there. I mean, it is buying into that lifestyle.
Well, it really is. It's funny because I didn't know anything about the villages. My son went to school at Beacon College in Leesburg,
Right.
and so we came down to see that. And I said, well, let's go to lunch somewhere. And somebody said, why don't you go to the villages? I'm like, what's the villages?
See, I think everybody knows about it for some reason. I don't know. I just figure everybody's heard it on news because Fox News is always there,
Yeah.
so they
Uh-huh.
always advertise we're in the villages. So I figure
Right.
everybody knows what
No,
it is.
so I didn't know what it was. We went over and we had lunch at Sumter. I'm like, oh my God, this place is great. And I mean, everybody's happy. It's like they have a band. They have 3 squares right now. They're building a 4th square where I live,
Right.
and they'll open in 2024. And every night there's a live band in every square. And they have a bar set up on each corner of the square.
And you can get to every place you want by golf cart.
Yes. Oh
So-
my God. It's incredible. I mean, there's a whole network, and actually, you can put it in your phone. You put it in your phone where you want to go, and they'll say, "Do you want golf cart directions, or do you want
That is
car directions.
that. I
It's-
mean
it's
that in
wild.
itself is
Hmm.
the coolest thing for me is never having to get out of in and out of your car.
Yep.
And it's everything's inclusive, so
Hmm.
that you can get there anywhere. So outside of real estate,
Hmm.
prior to that, what did you do?
Oh, well, I worked in retail.
Mhm.
I was the vice president of stores for Victoria's Secret for a long time.
So how
Yep.
long did you do that?
I had 20 years.
That doesn't surprise me with your style, but
Yeah.
so was I mean that's retail's hard.
Hmm.
Do you think it's harder than real estate?
Um, I don't know. They both feel somewhat the same to me, but I got to the point in retail where I'd had enough because there were a lot of the business was going online away from the stores, and
Right.
you know they were closing stores,
Yeah.
like one after the
Yeah.
other, and I just
Yeah.
like okay, I'd had enough. But I learned so much at Victoria's Secret because I started in store number 9.
Oh
I
my
ran store
gosh.
number 9, and we went to like 1,000 stores,
Oh
and I
my
was part of the
gosh.
executive committee, and I mean, just the strategy of building a brand like that, I mean,
I didn't know
oh
that.
yeah,
Oh
so
my gosh.
it was unbelievable. It really was. It was such
And
a
was it in Columbus too?
well. I started in Short Hills, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then I went to Dallas. Well, I went to Atlanta as a district manager for a little bit. Then I went to Dallas as a district manager. Got promoted to regional manager there. I had like a fifth of the country. Then I got promoted to national sales manager, and I was moved to Columbus. Yeah, but then I spent the rest of when I got to Columbus. I met my husband, ex-husband, whose birthday is today. Hi, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
and we got married in 5 months, went to Paris on our honeymoon. I had Parker on the 4th of July, like my son, the next year. And so then I stayed in Columbus, and I did different jobs and other vice president positions at
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret.
So what was a regional manager? What did a regional manager do with there? I mean, what did you
So
go in there and
Mhm.
inspect stores and
Absolutely, I was just in the store. I just was over in Paddock
oh,
Mall at Victoria's Secret, and the most important thing you do is you hire the right people and
right.
you train them.
Mhm.
Um, and that would be like number one because you have to have the right people. And my region or my district or my stores were always like number one in the country because of the fact that
Yeah,
we had the great people, made sure they all got trained, and then had really high standards, like
Yep.
making sure that everyone is following through the operational piece.
Mhm.
And then I also was in charge of all the selling strategies there.
Really?
Like I don't know if in Victoria's Secret they all wore black, and then they
Right.
had the pink.
Right.
Yeah, so all that stuff was things that I did while I was there.
Really?
Yeah, it was really a lot of
Well,
fun.
I
and-
have to say, my daughter spent a lot of my money there. So that was always her
Mhm.
Christmas present. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and still to this day. But the thing is like you said, it's online or it's got
Right.
everything that's online on retail has lost a little bit of the
Yeah.
you lose a little bit
Mhm.
of just I don't know.
Well, Victoria's Secret's changed a lot. I mean, the whole executive committee when I was there is all either retired or they've gone
Gone,
other
yeah.
places, but we're all together on we do conference calls.
Oh,
and all
you
kinds-
do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's fun. But you know, they're
It's a
went
whole
somewhere
different
else.
management
Yeah,
team. Yeah,
yeah.
whole different area. And so, what do you like to do for hobbies besides sell real estate? I mean, I know. Yeah,
My bicycle.
I was gonna say. Yeah. So
Yeah, so in St. Catharines, right next to St. Catharines is a preserve on one side, it's all
Right.
trees, and the other side is all lakes and houses, right? So there's like 5 lakes. So every morning I get on my bicycle and I ride down that path and come back. It's about a half an hour. But there's like alligators. It's like the wild
it's
kingdom.
a while. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Really?
Oh my God! And this one alligator who was, I don't know, he was like 7 or 9 feet or something like that. And
Well,
all of a
listen,
sudden
if that's 7 or 9 feet,
he came up.
somebody's been messing with you.
No.
You mean 7?
Yeah, I saw him. I mean, he was there, and I rode my bicycle past him every day. A lot of people walk on there, and they walk their dogs, right?
Oh.
So the next thing you know is he's really
And
up
there
close
is
to
a
the.
pond there.
There's 5 lakes that I go by. Yes, and that's where they are. And this guy finally decides he comes up like this far from the bike path, right? And my neighbor, I pass him and goes, "Hey, such a father!" And I'm like really fast on my bicycle. And then the next day I went out and there's this wildlife guy standing there, and I'm like, "What happened?"
Oh,
This
he got it.
Well, this woman who's pet sitting this other person's dog, and
Oh no!
and she got out before it was dark. She probably didn't even know the alligator was there. And the alligator just like,
He got the dog.
yes, she got it.
Oh my God! Oh
Can you
my
imagine?
God! Oh my God!
Oh my God.
That poor lady.
It
That
was
poor
like,
dog.
I know.
Oh my God.
I just said,
I'm
thank
not
God.
laughing about it. It's
I
terrible.
just said, thank God it wasn't her that saw her dog got eaten too. I mean, that's even worse.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God. Yeah. So then I said,
So
what's
did,
going to happen to that alligator? He's like, oh, he's going to be suitcase by door. I do too.
that's a kind of a buzzkill for me right
Yeah.
now.
But you know what else? There's all kinds of this wild turkey down there. There's like this boar, this big hunking boar. I didn't even know what it was. It was running along.
Those are actually more dangerous.
Oh
Than
my God, they're
alligators.
running along the fence, I think, because there's a fence that keeps the preserve.
Those things will hurt you.
Oh my God, there's bears. The bears come out. They had pictures of the bears in Bradford.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God, so it's just like it's a
Well, when I
wild
lived in
kingdom.
Denellen,
Yeah.
we lived on an old phosphate pit.
Mhm.
Well, we called it a pit, but it's a lake. It's like a 23-acre lake, and they had usually we didn't swim in it,
Mhm.
and we lived on a bluff, so it was a pretty high up from the water. But so they couldn't crawl up into our yards or
Mhm.
anything like that. But you could see them swimming by and doing that stuff. And every now and then when the dogs would go out and start barking, it was like they were calling the alligators over because they would just turn around wherever they were and come swimming because they'd hear the dogs bark.
Right.
Well, when I had my daughter, I was always terrified that she would fall off the edge
Mhm.
there, and so not us, but a neighbor that had a boat slip. Kind of, this one gator would go up
Mhm.
this one little area. He shot one, and which is illegal. But that thing, blew up and stunk in the lake for like a week. But they called the wildlife people
Mhm.
out to get the other. There were two other ones in there, and I said to them, I did the same thing. I was like, so what do y'all do with those?
Right.
And do you just move them? And they go, yeah, that's what we do. I was
Well,
like,
I think
and
if they've never eaten anything, they will move them. But once they've eaten a dog or a
or they've
person,
gone after something.
because then they
They've
aren't
got to change.
afraid.
They're not
Right.
afraid.
Right.
Got it.
That's what it is. That's what they told me anyway.
Well,
Like,
he was kind of sarcastic with me, but my husband said later, he goes, they're not keeping those around because they were, because they're people-fied. They
mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
get used to
Yep.
people, and that's
Yep.
kind of what happened. So you bike ride, and you are probably the only person I've ever known that has dated as much as you have. I told you I know all your secrets.
Oh my God, I know. We won't talk
No,
about those.
but you also are in the dating game,
Mhm.
and so that is your hope that you're gonna get married one of these days and
No.
have children again.
No. Yeah, I don't think so. That's one thing I don't have to worry
No,
about. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm just having fun
yeah,
dating.
well, yeah, who
Yeah.
wouldn't with
Yeah.
you? I mean,
Well, it's been fun. So it's been, I've met a lot of
have
really
you ever
nice
done that
people.
before?
Done what? Done dating.
Gone on dating apps or
Yeah.
anything?
Well, before I met my ex-husband, I
Okay,
was, and
okay.
I was. I think he was my third date of the day. He was, and it was like because I realized it was all in the numbers. I'm really analytical. It's like,
So now you know it had takes X. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So now
yeah.
you know what happens. But let's see. I also do Pilates.
Yeah.
I like
Oh,
water
do you
aerobics.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. I've
Yeah,
got to
I
get.
need to do that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? And so that all the classes are for free. And the woman who does it, she's probably the best Pilates instructor I've had.
How long have you been doing that?
Well, I did it for a year or two when I first got down here. Then when I moved to my house, got kind of off
Yeah.
center. So I'm going to start it again. But
I mean, that's
I've always done
wonderful, right?
Pilates a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good for you.
Mhm.
I've never done it. I've
Mhm.
always said I'm going to try it. So I wish I lived closer to you guys.
Mhm.
I think I need to move over there.
Well, there's a
I don't know
Pilates.
if I could keep up with you two though. I don't know if I could do that.
Keep up with who? Me
You
and
and
her.
Karen. I don't
I
know if I
can't
could.
keep up with Karen,
Uh,
that's for sure. But and then belonged to the Long Island Club, so I grew up in New York.
So tell me about that because I know you were saying that one time you're going to go. So everybody there is from Long Island.
Everybody there's from Long Island. There's like
Oh, what a
300 people
hoot!
there. Oh my God, are you
What?
kidding me? Yeah, it's like 300
Oh,
Long Islanders.
oh my
But there's
gosh!
so many people that are coming from Long Island to live here. I've sold I don't know how many houses to Long Island people, so it's also a good networking
Oh yeah,
for
I'll
me.
say. So is that like a once a week thing
No, it's
or
once a month.
once a month?
And then I went to Penn State, so I go to the Penn State Club, and They have and McCall's on every Penn State game. Everybody, there's like 250 people there. Everybody
Oh
is
my
on the blue and the
gosh.
white for Penn State, and all the waitresses and waiters
No, you're
all
not
have
from
on Penn
Pennsylvania,
State
are
gear.
you?
No, I grew up in
You're
Long
right.
Island, New
Yeah.
York, and then I went from there. I went out of state to Penn
You
State.
did go to Penn
Yeah.
State.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now,
Yep.
is that outside of Philadelphia or?
No, it's right smack in the center of. Well, it has branches, but I was in the main campus. It's right smack in the middle of Pennsylvania. It's
Okay.
State College.
Okay. Okay.
You
Because
know.
I used to live in Pittsburgh, so
Okay.
but it wasn't close to that.
No, well, if you went
I
from
always thought it was.
Pittsburgh, you'd be on 80,
Yeah.
and you would drive straight to Penn State. It was smack in the middle of.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So did you finish there? Did you graduate?
Oh yeah.
What'd you get?
I graduated. With mineral economics was my major.
No, what doesn't
I
that?
don't know. I was taking physics and all kinds of
Oh
things.
my
I was like, oh
gosh.
my God,
I
yeah.
mean, God, you are a master of a lot of things.
or not a master of
Well,
any.
I think you do.
Yeah.
I think you are. So, what do you think about the market right now?
Oh, geez. So it's been so different since I first got here. And that's one of the things that actually really keeps me interested in it,
Yeah.
because
It's never the same.
it's never the same, and there's been so many odd things that have happened between the
Pandemic.
COVID and all that kind of stuff. Right now what's happened is the prices went really crazy like 6 months ago when the interest rates was 3%,
Right.
and we'd have like 15. I mean, I sold 2 pool houses. One I had 13 offers on, the other one I had 8 offers, and like people couldn't even buy anything. So
Right.
the prices just kept going
Yep,
up and
yep.
up. And then when
Came
as
to
the
a
interest
halt.
rates, it's really because of the interest
Of
rates.
course.
I would say though, in the villages, probably 60% or more of the houses are bought with cash.
Hmm.
Cash is king, as you know.
Yep.
So people are putting their houses on the market now, but interest rates are like 6 or 7%, and people don't want to pay that. So that's
are you
slowed
seeing,
down.
Yeah, are you seeing that that they're not getting used to that thought process yet, even in the because on my side, people are getting adjusted to
Mhm,
it. I mean,
mhm.
and and honestly, that's what had to happen. I mean, people were all in a very, it was a shock to their system, going from 3 to 5 to 6 to 7. So, once it rallies, once it kind of mellows out or evens out, then at that point, people, they're still not happy about it, but they're not in shock anymore.
Right.
So, and so, I mean, I probably have seen in the last 30 days it pick up more than it has in the last couple of months.
And I think that is because I think because everyone was waiting for the year to be over.
Yeah.
And they were going to make decisions of what they're going to do come January.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably showed, I don't know how many houses New Year's weekend, because people all of a sudden woke up and said, all right, now I want to go look at this house and that house.
It was like a week after the first week of January, things started all of a sudden picking up.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely did. And I mean, the interest rates have gone down, so has inflation, like almost, down to 6.1%, and then inflation has gone down. So if it keeps going, I know
the rates just went up a little bit today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so we had a price worsening because the indexes were off a little bit. But that's the thing. I mean, as long as we were having such dramatic increases, constantly. I mean, and they weren't just 1/8% or 0.5%. They were going up 0.75% or a whole point, or whatever. And so, as long as we can kind of be consistent, and maybe not. We'll have some days that it'll be up a little bit, and then it'll go back down a little bit. I think, honestly, and everybody keeps saying it, I am praying for it by the end of the second quarter. We'll be in the low to mid 5s. And that's a reasonable rate.
That's definitely a reasonable rate.
For people that, if you can get out. Because right now, where I see that we're hurt in the villages is on the second home and investment properties.
Right.
And when Fannie and Freddie came out and said, hey, we're going to, get rid of all or add all the adjusters to second homes where they used to be treated as a primary residence, because there was no inventory. So they had to do something to try to create the need for primaries more so than secondary and investment. So they went in there and added all these adjustments to these 2 products. Never seen it in my career that a second home had those issues. It
Mhm.
was always investment was higher, but never second homes.
Right.
And so right now, I mean, we're hearing that they may come back and get rid of the adjustments on the second home now that the inventory's
Mhm.
improved,
Mhm.
which, for us, people like us that live in our areas with the 55 plus communities,
Mhm.
people coming in here, they're still working in a
Mhm.
different state, but they're closing, they're getting close to retirement.
Mhm.
They can come here, they can rent it out for half a year or whatever and still call it a second
Mhm.
home and enjoy the, being
Mhm.
it, staying, living two places, whatever. um, that's a big plus for us
Mhm.
because I mean I don't know about you, but when you're talking to I talked to Karen about it the other day. I said, when you call me and I go, what are they looking at? She goes, well, I want you to call them because they're going to be doing this, this, and that. I go, but is it going to be a primary
Mhm.
or is it going to be a secondary or
Mhm.
investment? Because it's a whole different
Right.
conversation.
Right.
That a lot, if those people are not paying attention to
Mhm.
what's going on with the rate in the market, that's a whole conversation to have with them, that they're going to be paying higher than they
Mhm.
normally, so they got to figure out if they're going to rent it out, how much they can make on it now,
Mhm.
because before, it was a lot more lucrative.
Mhm.
But in the villages, it doesn't seem to bother them. Like I said, I just did one, and on an investment, not a second home, because we can still do that
Mhm.
that 5 year fixed
Yeah.
arm,
Mhm.
which is a great product for a second home,
Mhm.
and a primary too. I mean, we can get down to 6.125 now on a 20% down conventional loan with
Mhm.
no points.
Wow.
And anybody who takes out an arm today,
Mhm.
I don't care if they take out the arm, they take out a 30-year fix, they're going to refinance when rates come down.
Mhm.
So
Right.
so it doesn't
Right.
matter. So why pay points
Mhm.
if you don't need to,
Mhm.
especially to do an arm? But I that was my biggest challenge last year in March. I mean, the rates were bad enough, but when Fannie and Freddie came in and did the adjusters to the second homes,
Mhm.
that was a large part of my business.
Mhm.
So a lot of people who had been pre-approved and those rates were the same as primaries,
Mhm.
in January,
Mhm.
February, March, and they said, I'm not going to do that now. Okay,
Right.
I'll just wait till the rates come down. So we
Mhm.
lost a lot of those clients
Yep.
coming into the market, but I'm starting to see it pick back up
Mhm.
again. People are still fluctuating, coming into Florida. They're still bringing in their money. They still want to live here. So I think we're going to be good.
Well, Florida's like the number one state that people are moving to,
And yeah,
and I mean, why not?
right.
Free Florida.
I know what free Florida.
Right.
Look at the
And look,
speaking of wildlife.
oh geez, there's
Oh,
yeah,
black cats.
yeah.
Isn't that nice? So, but yeah, so people now. Are you still using Zillow?
No, no. Well, I mean, I'll go on Zillow to look, but
But you're
I
not
don't.
buying leads from Zillow
No,
anymore.
no.
No.
I was doing it for from Realtor for a little bit, and those were okay,
Yeah.
So because Zillow had just kind of bottomed
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, I would say like 60 or 70% of my business last year was really people who referrals or they sent somebody to me or and
Yep.
that's what's nice like when you start.
That's the best part about this
Yep.
business. I mean,
Mhm.
if you can get someone, if you can
Mhm.
get a loan from a referral or a
Mhm.
transaction from a referral, it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
But I know Keller Williams does a lot of training and does a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that a lot of agencies don't. What do they think about the market? What do they tell you guys? Are they? I mean, is there, because they do a lot of coaching, they
Mhm.
do a lot of stuff. Are they?
Mhm.
Because are they thinking that there's going to be some exiting in the agent
Well, I think that
numbers?
there is. I think that there's agents that aren't going to make it, and they're going to. Although, like, I'm really busy right now, so
Right,
it's hard to say that because I'm
you're
busy.
busy,
Yeah.
right?
Um, but they think that there'll be some agents that are going to certainly fall out. But they have great training and they have very specific ways of running a business,
Yep,
and they call
yep,
it bold, and they
yep, yep,
teach people, and they really hold you accountable
yep,
to the numbers
yep.
if you follow their thought process.
And you usually succeed.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
usually do.
So, what do you? I mean, like you said, you're busy right now. Are you seeing mainly more? I mean, are you seeing a lot of more listings?
Yeah, I'm definitely
Because
seeing
I
more.
see a lot of listings
Yeah,
right now.
I definitely see more listings, and but the thing is the days on hand. First of all, in the in the villages right now, there's most amount of inventory that there's been in like 3 years. There's 324 houses
Wow.
on the market.
I can remember when you and I spoke last.
It was like 40.
I
Like
know. I mean, you give me a weekly update, and I'm like, that's all there is.
Yeah, that's all there is. So now there's like 324, and the days on hand have gotten a lot longer, and there's a lot of price decreases because people are still putting they're thinking, oh, I can still get what my neighbor got in April. No,
Right,
you can't. And the difference in the mortgage rates, it's like if you bought a house in April and your mortgage was 2,200, if you bought a house with a 7%, it was 3,000. I mean, that's a huge difference.
But let me tell you, I mean, this is the word of the industry right now. I mean, if you talk to any other lenders, they're going to tell you almost the same thing because it's all that we're hearing and what we're trying to do to educate clients right now. Yep. Right now we have the rates, they've simmered down a little bit, so they're more manageable right now. Again, if you're not mirroring the rate, you're mirroring the house because you're always going to refinance. There's no doubt in my mind that the rates will come back down low enough to where you're going to want to do it. That's why they have a refinance boom and all that. But the one thing that you have to remember is that when the rates drop, and they will, what that's going to do is create the demand and supply again on the houses. So what people don't realize is now is a good time to buy, even though the rates are where they are, because you're getting reduced pricing on the house. You're getting a lot of times seller concessions. So you're getting things that you're never going to get in the market when it's true seller's market. So bite the bullet if you can afford the payment. If you can afford the house, or if you have to mortgage it, you're not going to pay cash, which I hate cash deals, but just saying. But if you have to get a mortgage, then know that it's going to be it's not a life sentence. You're going to be able to do something with that. But remember, when the market changes, and it will, and the rates will, those houses, that frenzy, because of the fact that we live in Florida, will go back to being a frenzy. And I said, and I mean, you saw it, I saw it, how many offers did your buyers have to put in? And it could have, by the time they actually got an offer accepted, they were beat up, whipped. They weren't excited about it. They overpaid for the house. They knew they did. So there was no joy in that transaction. So now it's still a seller's market, but it's also a buyer's market.
Yes.
So you have some benefit there. So if you put it in perspective, the pricing of the houses is coming down, the rates are up, prices of the houses are coming down. Which market would you really want to be in? Would you want to be in where the rates are super low, but you're paying, $75,000 more for the house? It's all it's all going to equal out. So that's what we have to do as a mindset to create that that psyche with people, because they all they think about is one thing. And it's just like everybody asks me, what's your rate? What's your rate? What's your rate? And I go, what's the payment you want? Think about, don't think about the rate today. Think about the payment that you can afford. And do you love that house? Because if you do, that's the time to buy.
Right.
So we're it's a whole different philosophy, but I can tell you, I would rather be in this environment where, in my business, where there's inventory and that there's a lot more opportunity for buyers to buy houses, whether they're paying cash or mortgaging, than I would be in that market that we were in. Because I can tell you, it was exhausting. I was laughing with somebody last night.
It was exhausting.
It was exhausting, and and it was exhausting for our buyers too. The only one that was thrilled was a seller,
right?
But everybody else was working their tails off, and but I was laughing last night, going, "Oh my gosh, I can remember sitting there when someone would call me and go, I need a pre-approval, I need it for $450," and I'd go, okay, well, let's just talk about, do you want $450 or do you want me to give you your max so you know where your max is, so when you go out shopping, you know what you can get? Nope, $450. $450 is my max.
And then we call back.
30, 30, an hour, 1 day later, can you move it up to $475? Let me give you your max. Let me just tell you what your max is. Nope, $475 is my bottom line dollar. Okay, 2 days later, a week later, whatever, take it to $5. And so finally I would say, okay, I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you the one for $5, and I'm going to give you the one for the max, so that that if you have to go to this number, you're qualified. And but I mean, we saw, and I used to say to a lot of my agent friends, I would get somebody that would finally get their accepted offer, and they weren't happy. I mean, there was just
Right.
it wasn't a fun time for them.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great experience. So, all that being said, I'm glad where we are today,
Mhm.
even though we went through that shock that we did
Mhm.
for a couple of months, and it all put us all in shock.
I would say because through the MLS,
Hmm.
I'll send people. We call it a campaign,
Right,
so that they can look at houses and their price
right.
ranges and everything. There are more people that have come back since in January that are people that I was maybe put on there 3 years ago
Yep,
are back looking at
yep.
the
Because they
MLS. I
know
mean,
there's
it's
something
huge.
they can buy
Mhm.
again. They
Mhm.
know that they're in the
Yep.
buyer's seat right
Mhm.
now, and that's a good thing. So that's
Mhm.
why I said, even though we went through a lot of stress in the last
Mhm.
couple of months, I think we're coming out of it. I think buyers are getting
I
used
do
to the
too.
rates, and I think sellers just have to adjust and
Mhm.
understand they're not going to get the escalated over ask price
Right. Right.
anymore.
Yeah,
So that's yeah. So I think we're gonna finish strong this year,
I do too.
and I hope to continue to work with you.
Of
and so,
course,
and I love working with you. You know that.
I do.
Okay, so thanks for doing this with me
Thank
today,
you. It's been a lot of
and
fun.
yeah, and we're gonna look forward to 2023 being better than 2022.
It's got to be better than 2020.
All right, thanks again, Marguerite. Marguerite,
Thank you, Debbie. It was so much fun.